Good morning. This is Angela with today's cup of tea. We see so many quotes today. You look on Facebook and Twitter and so many sites and everything else, and a lot of us, have calendars with quotes on it and all that stuff. And many times we see these quotes that talk about closing the door on the past, closing the chapter on the past, turning the page, forgetting the past, releasing the past, look at today. So that's really important. The topic is really important because it can be misconstrued and then actually become detrimental to our spiritual growth on our journey. And what I mean by that is it is important for us to, yes, release the past, but that's the key, is to release it, not forget it, and not close the book on it, because it is a part of who we are. It is part of the series of lessons that we have chosen to have in this lifetime and many others. So many times what holds us up in the development of ourselves on our spiritual journey and on just our path to our personal legend, to our soul's purpose, a lot of what holds us back is actually because we won't look at certain things in the past, because we want to block them out. So here's the difference, and I talk about this in other webcasts too, and there's a big difference between not looking at something because you're afraid of it, or you're angry at it, or you're holding some negative energy with it, and not looking at it or not focusing on it because you are resolved to it and you are fluid to the whole thing. Big difference. Think of the word hung up and obstacles and how that makes you feel. It sort of makes your back get a little stiff. When I say fluid, if you're fluid to it, it feels much smoother and fluid, right? So that's the key. A lot of the work I do with people is actually looking at the past, not even just this past, but past lives and everything else, on what is unresolved. We bring things into this life from other lives that's unresolved. We bring things into this life from the ethers that's unresolved. I mean, we have ego beyond this 3D existence. And so we are trying to move forward and we're getting ready for that next level. We're trying to resolve ourselves. We are trying to fuse ourselves all into this one magnificent being that we are, and to take down all the partitions that we have started, that we have done an awesome job at creating, in different versions of ourselves, different levels of consciousness within ourselves, different timelines within ourselves, different lifetimes. And if we take away the constraint of time, it's all sort of happening in the same instant, in terms of the eternal divine universe of love. So, and many people can't quite pull out that far yet. So I just sort of started, well, here's the thing. If we're holding on to the past, then how can we move on to the future? And yes, that's right. That's the whole thing. If you have an obstacle that's preventing you from moving forward because you're stuck in the past, yes, we need to release that. But first, we need to look at it. What's important is to look at it and say, why? What is unresolved from that's preventing me from moving forward? It's funny. And this is in energy work and psychic work, whatever you want to call it, spiritual work. But eventually what will happen, if something is so holding you back from your past, that your higher self puts in those blockades to stop you short in your path until you move forward, guess what's going to happen? Whether you do the work actively or not, you can choose the trauma, drama, and illness side, or you can choose the grace and ease and balance and harmony side, which I say over and over again, right? But it will eventually bubble up to the surface in one way or the other if it's unresolved. And whether it's this life or another life, whatever, it'll come back again. It'll come back again. Have you learned that lesson yet? Are you done learning it? Can we resolve it and write it off? Have you learned the lessons of why this was an issue? And typically it's not the past that you want to forget. It's the negative parts of the past, the things that have held you up with anger and resentment and regret. Regret especially is a big one with the past. And anxieties and fears and stuff that are brought forward and projected into the future by the ego because it's unresolved from the past. So it is really important. It is really important to accept the past and to completely accept it and be fluid to it. But here's an example. I know somebody who really doesn't do this work, and she sort of peripherally does, but she has had issues in her life with herself for a long, long time. She's been divorced for 20 years. She was married for like 20 years. She's been divorced for 20 years. And she, until like a month ago, was completely unresolved with so many things from that part of her life, so many things of what went wrong, and she had such bad self-esteem issues, such intense self-esteem issues because of that, and she never understood. Well, something finally came to her in the middle of the night, and she heard the voice of, go online and find these people that were in her ex-husband's family. And she was like, what? And she heard it really strongly, and she heard, there's a whole lot of love out there for you still. And she's like, what? From that side of the family? So what happened was, she went on Facebook, I guess, and whatever, and she found a bunch of people, and she wrote them all these long letters, and they all wrote her this letter back of, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you found us. We didn't know your maiden name. We didn't know what name you were going by, all that kind of stuff. And in the process of getting back in touch with these people, guess what happened? The story that part of the family, this really, really challenging, really intense story of what they had been keeping secret for many, many years and held all of them back, was including her ex-husband. It all came back to her. They all gave it to her. There was all this space. Everybody had grown out, grown into their lives, had gotten past it. She had been stuck there. And guess what? They came back and said, you know what? This is what happened. And she never knew any of it. And it was a secret that they were all holding, including her husband. And it was, of course, her husband had issues with emoting and issues with connection and commitment that were based on this really heavy situation. And what happened in like 2 nights was that she completely was able to not only forgive her husband for everything that had gone down with their marriage, but she was able to forgive herself and release that part of her past. And now she can move forward. She's free, and it's sort of like, this chain has just been shrugged off her shoulders. That's what I mean when I'm talking about releasing the past. Many times we don't do certain things because of regrets that we have, things we didn't do, things that we didn't say, or that we did say, and it screwed, it seemed to have screwed things up. So what's really important is to get the clarity and understanding from the higher self as to why that happened. And if it's unresolved, it is important to look at it. If you're giving energy to it by ignoring it because you're afraid of it, or because you're feeding into a negative emotion about it. Whenever somebody says, I don't want to talk about it, that is a key right there about that they are holding on to something from the past that's holding them back, that needs to be looked at and resolved. Many times, and here's some other things, there are many times that we had, and this can be familial, it can be lovers, it can be, spousal, it can be mother, mother, parent, child, and all that kind of stuff in all directions, where things happened that were not understood, that were misunderstood, or the lesson hadn't been completed, or something like that. And so you walked away from it, or you ran away from it, and never went back and looked at it. And you get past it and whatever, and then you say, okay, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Well, if you don't want to talk about it, that means there's something that you're holding on to energy about from that period. And here's the thing, many times that was part of the lesson of that part of your life, what you needed at that part of your life for a certain kind of catalyst to make you who you are now. And that sometimes, and actually many times, once we resolve those pieces of us in the past, those same people that might have been in those situations with us in the past, we may have a brand new, different, healthier, happier, more loving relationship with them in the future. And maybe not. Maybe we just release them altogether. However, what I love, are the the quotes about, when you have a grudge against somebody, it's when it's like somebody paying, staying in your head for free without paying rent or something like that. That's really what that is. Now, so that's where I really needed to clarify is, yes, it is important to release our past, but it's important to release it in the way that we can look at it, understand it, resolve it, clear it, and move on, and be fluid to it, and realize, yes, it is part of who we are. One of the biggest things in this topic has to do with those people who can be have caused some of the most difficult, what we consider the most difficult situations in our lives. Sometimes, or many times, the people we need to have the most gratitude for, seriously, because they're the ones who volunteered from love at the higher levels to say, okay, I will do that to be the catalyst for you to do whatever, to get to a certain place, to get to a certain realization, eventually at some point. So things to consider, and the clearing for today is to actually get clarity on that, to would you like to have all the following without trauma, drama, or illness, without creating or recreating a situation for illustration or experience, and all with ease, grace, balance, harmony, joy, fun, excitement, adventure, love, humor, and bliss? Would you like it for all versions of you, all times, all places, into the ever-expanding universe, to infinity and beyond? Would you like to receive all information from this via instantaneous and comprehensive download with fully conscious understanding in the version, moment, and timeline from which it is requested? And also, would you like all of Creator's truths, understandings, perceptions, perspectives, discernments, definitions that come in from this clearing of Creator's? Would you like to have Creator's version replace yours and become yours for divine alignment? And would you like to offer this clearing and healing to all the higher self of all ancestors and descendants, whatever their version is, if they so choose to accept? Okay, on that, would you like to have Creator bring forward all situations, all lifetimes, where you have had situations that are unresolved, where you have been held up in the past and prevented from moving forward in the future because you have yet to resolve them? Would you like to get Creator's truth and understanding on that, to get the perception of the situation versus the actual truth, and get Creator's truth on the whole situation and what the lessons were to be learned? Any lessons yet to be completed, to bring that forward via instantaneous download, complete them, resolve, dissolve, release, and clear them. Write them off as complete in the Akashic records, and then pull all beliefs that are related. Pull all anxieties, pull all fears and regrets, rejections, resentments, and anger that have come underlying from all those situations that were yet unresolved, that were holding you up in the past. And all the beliefs around that, including that I must hold on to this, I must hold on to this for the drama. It's important to have the drama of the past. It is important to hold on to this for whatever, for blank. To pull all that, to pull all the related feelings, the fears, anxieties, regrets, rejections, resentments, and anger. Pull the memory and energy of that from the cellular level. Pull the related self-limiting thoughts, words, and actions from the cellular level. Transform into Creator's lights and back to Creator. Close those receptors and open new ones. Saturate the cells and in between the cells with the highest vibration of Creator's unconditional love. And get Creator's teachings on how to resolve the past, how to accept the past and integrate it fully, assimilate it fully into who you are. To download the beliefs, it is safe to do that. I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to fully integrate my past into who I am, to accept it and be completely fluid and grateful, and to get teachings on how to have gratitude for even the most challenging of situations in your past, to know how that feels, to get Creator's truth on all of that, to also get the knowledge of how to move forward while fully integrating your past and accepting what is in the future as all part of the whole of you, and to know how that feels without getting hung up, and to do that with complete fluidity, and to get teachings on how to do that, and the knowledge of how to do that, and knowing that you're worthy, deserving, and able to, that's possible, allowed, okay, and safe to, that you're ready, willing, and able to, and you have that in your life right now. And then would you like to write off as complete in the Akashic records, heal, resolve, and clear the timelines in all directions to infinity and beyond with the platinum and violet flames? And if you would like all of that, take a deep breath, clear your mind, be open to receive, and say, yes, past resolution. And that's it. Have a great one. We'll talk to you next week. This is Angela with today's A Cup of Tea.